Hello guys, today it's one more webinar, MAA and Zero Data Loss Protect Everything. This is about the group. It's this numbers is updated. 95 registered users, more than 66 articles published about several topics, cloud, Exadata, database, and the other things. 4 webinars, more than 13,000 patient views, and more than 6,000 visitors. It's good numbers for the 8 months. And now our board members, me, André Antalba, Carlos Magno, the speaker Fernando Simon, Leonardo Lopes, and Rodrigo Mufalani. Okay? Now it's with your speaker Fernando Simon. Enjoy your webinar. Fernando? Fernando? You listen to me? Fernando? Fernando? 1 minute, guys. The Fernando is.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay.
No problem. Okay, it's possible to start now.
Yes. So the webinar now, as I had told, is about zero data loss and MAA. How we integrate everything to protect the environment that we had. So the disclaimer is usual. The posts in this document are on my own and not necessarily represent my actual employee position, strategy, or opinions. The information was edited to be useful for general purpose. Specific data identification was removed to allow reach the generic audience and to be useful for the community. So the agenda for today is, for this webinar, is a little introduction about myself. I talk a little about protection. Zero data loss, I will cover some topics that are related with MAA, like real-time redo, replication, clones, tapes, and cloud. MAA, the gold levels that we have, zero data loss plus MAA, and key A to check. So it's part of ACE program. So there are more than 400 and have technical experts to help the community. There are levels, ACE Director, ACE Oracle ACE, and Oracle ACE Associate. So I'm Senior DBA for EPROCID in Luxembourg. I'm OCA, OCPA, OCE Hack. I'm founder and member of Lux Oracle User Group. My contacts are there: email, personal blog, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Okay, so I'm DBA since 2004. I started with Oracle, Postgre, and DB2 consulting. My blog is there since 2010. Most of part was in the beginning Portuguese language, but I had spoke at Oracle Open World San Francisco, Latin America, Brazil, Oracle there, I worked with Exadata. I work with Exadata since 2010, V2 in 2010, and after X2, X4, X5, X6, for a high consolidated environment where it was possible to use and implement IORM, Resource Manager, Instance Caging, Oracle Hack Services, everything. There, we start with zero data loss in 2014 and 2015. Was the first in Brazil to do that, and one of the first of all to be in replicated mode. About this project, was the base for a presentation for Oracle Open World San Francisco, and you can access in the Oracle MAA site. So after that, in 2017, I moved to Luxembourg. I moved here in the same company where I started to work in the European institution to do base Oracle DBA stuff like support and patch, and moved in 1 year and a half ago to a bank institution where I started with MAA support, multi-site environment, Exadata and zero data loss support. Lux Oracle User Group founder last year, board member, and Oracle Ace. So about the protection, what we can say about protection? So protection is basically the principle you need to restore and access everything. Every information that you have need to be possible to be restored. You need to have low or zero impact in your environment to do the replication, to do the controls. You don't need to have a lot of impact, like 15, 20, whatever percent that you need. Need to be easy to operate, self-management, self-drive. Data retention and storage need to sustain some requirements and regulations, like 5 years, 10 years, depends of the kind of information that you need to store. So, and you need to have the continuous availability for data and application continuity. So your application, this basically means that your application data needs to be running for a long time to sustain your regulations or everything that you need to run. If needed, you can be requested to restore this information, so it need be possible to restore this information and easy to operate. So, but in the real life, what occurs? So, you have a lot of SLAs to cover. Some databases in your environment have 10 days. Some databases are developers, for developers, so don't need backups or recovery. They can be restored if you lose by the production. So you have a lot of SLAs to cover in your environment. We know that this occurs, so sometimes the replication between one site to another site does not works correctly. You have uncovered time, so you have some lack of synchronization. You have data loss. If you lose your site, is from the last backup that you have. The backup or replication took a lot of research for your environment. You need to handle with a lot of players. You need to maybe go to the cloud. You need to validate, test, and as you know, can be worse. So you have your backup environment, you have your databases doing the backup for this backup data file, backup archive logs. You can have maybe your Exadata and doing the backups for backup server. So you are concurring with the same environment with file servers maybe. Sometimes you have snapshot, and snapshot needs to be backuped. You need to have some place to control everything, the cron tabs or the jobs for your backups. Maybe you have the cloud control or another server. You need to export this to tape library because you need to sustain like 2 or 3 years to retention. And you have another site with data guard and whenever. So as you saw, everything grows and everything have a new step for requirements and to handle. And in the other side, you need to have your backup server, you need to export, but one day you need to put in the cloud, and one day the data guard stopped to work, maybe because the link was bad, and after that, your backup of archive log cannot delete anymore because the archive logs was not sent to the standby, so your backup archive log does not work. And after that, your flash recovery is full and your Exadata is stopped, and your databases are stopped. So a lot of things can happen. If you are growing the levels, you see that link can be down, the other site, other hardware can have a problem, and you need to handle with these. And even a standby site can impact in a bad way for your production environment. So this is complicated. Basically, protection means two words, RPO and RTO. RPO means recovery point objective and is how much data or what you can lose. And the recovery time is time that you put everything running again. So the goal for every protection is have zero RPO and zero RTO. This is the goal that you for MAA and for your environment to be running. So how zero data loss can help this? This is I will talk about some features that can help you to protect you and your environment in every level, since the single database that runs a dev or test environment to the high and the biggest data guard that you have with hack in both sides. So this I will talk about how it can be. So what is zero data loss? I will not talk about what it is. I was the for the last webinar I talked about zero data loss in details, internal details, but basically it is an engineering system. So since it's an engineering system, is Exadata based. When you need to patch, is Exadata based. You have storage servers, you have DB nodes, cell nodes, InfiniBand switches, or RCOA switch now in the last version. You have, and since it's an engineering system, as Exadata based, you have hardware plus software. It's not just hardware to do the backups. You have software, you have intelligence applied there. So you can even communicate with tape directly, SAN, with our security backup. You have native replication, that replication one zero data loss to another zero data loss, I will show later. You have Airman catalog integration. So basically is Airman the catalog you have when you're using, and you can control by Enterprise Manager or Cloud Control. Enterprise Manager, Cloud Control, command line interface. So one point that is very important is that does not reduce RTO and just RPO. Zero data loss does not reduce RTO, just recovery point objective. So Oracle zero data loss, what is inside? You have one Oracle database running there. You don't need to handle this database; is self-handle. You don't need to take care for performance, whatever. This database takes care of ARM catalog with a little modification for recovery appliance tables. This store configuration, policies, database registration, schedule the backups, everything is done inside of this database. This database stores everything inside of a Delta store where the data is stored. You have the Delta push, you have virtual backups and whatever, and you have a backup client library. Basically, the main features for zero data loss are you have a self-managed Airman catalog. You have a virtual full backup, a real-time redo transport, and a real-time redo. you have replication and tape backups. I will explain these guys later. So virtual full backup is incremental for every strategy. I will show later. Basically, you have an incremental level 0 backup, and after you do just a level 1 backup, and zero data loss will merge the incremental backups with the previous full backup. So you need to do just a level 1 backup, and zero data loss will merge the blocks inside of this backup with the previous that you have. So you don't need zero data loss will construct to you, will deliver to you a new level 0 backup, and this backup is automatically validated against corruption and works for every kind of block size that you have, every kind of data file that you have. Is different from the duplication because it's better, because it's based in context and not black magic or reverse engineering. So zero data loss can understand the database blocks that are inside of the error backup. So a little representation. So imagine that you work as librarian, and I go for you every day and deliver a box with books inside. In the normal environment, you cannot open this box. But for zero data loss, you can open this box and see what are inside. And one day I return and ask you, I want the full books. So what do you think that will be better? The guy that cannot see what is inside of the books, or the guy that can see what is inside? So I think that's the guy that can see what is inside. But how this work? Basically, is like this. You do a backup incremental level 0 for the start, for the beginning, the first backup. After that, you can just do a list backup. Your backup is there, is working, and is there. And after you do a backup incremental level 1, what will happen? I will show to you. You have, this is the list backup. So as you can see here, is the same backup that is here. So you have the first level 0 backup, you have the incremental level 1, and after, what you have? You have a level 0 backup automatically for you. So look, the incremental SCN for this backup, the incremental level 1 have this SCN, and was done in this time. The completion time was this. But if you look the level 0 backup, you can see that it have the same SCN and have the same completion time. So this means that zero data loss merged these two guys and delivered to you this new guy. As you can see, is a VB dollar, is a virtual backup information, the name, whatever. But basically, it is for the backup that took you just, in this case, took 20 seconds to do, generated a new level 0 backup that is validated. And if I do tomorrow a new level 1 backup, it will match this guy with the new level 1 and discontinue every day. So every day doing a level 1 backup, you have a new level 0 backup. So think about the time that you gain doing this. Think about your table space with 10 terabytes, 20 terabytes that you need to do backup every weekend. You need to have a full backup because this backup needs to go to the tape every weekend. Think about that. You have in 10 minutes, you have a terabyte backup done, appears to you a new level 0 for this big table space of 10 terabytes, 20 terabytes. Think about the time that you are saving, but not just time. Think about how can I say this? Think about the environment, not environment. Think about the resource that you are saving. You are saving CPU. You are saving network. You are saving a lot of things. So zero data loss is not just the backup. Zero data loss save resources. Okay, this is when you have and when you pass for a lot of problems on backups, you start to think about how you can save time with zero data loss. So the next feature is real-time redo. Real-time redo is the base for zero data loss because this feature guarantees the zero data loss. They guarantee the zero recovery point objective. Basically, zero data loss is a log archive test for your database. I will show later. It's different from FireSync because you don't need to configure nothing as a new database and a shelf for a database just to bypass the data and have just the archives. You just define the log archive test. And why is zero data loss? Because if the redo streaming terminates unexpectedly because your database crashed, zero data loss generates for you a archive log backup. I will show later this to show you. But basically, manually, what you do is you configure your log archive test with zero data loss service. You can have is the service or easy connect for your database. Can be async, no affirm, delay. You can configure as usually you do for a normal log archive test. It's just that. If you are using Broker with DataGuard, you can do a simple add and recover appliance with the identifier, and Broker will do this for you, the configuration. But what is this? This means that you have, in this example, you have a list copy of archive log here, and you do an auto system archive log current, okay, a normal one, and immediately you do a list backup of archive log. Remember, I not executed the backup. Zero data loss generated for me because what the destination is the basic for DataGuard appears a new backup for this archive log. So you don't need to do any more backups. The backup archive log for your archive logs, whenever the command, you don't need to execute anymore because it's generated for you automatically. Okay? But in the real life, one little example. So here I have a list backup of archive log current list backup archive log sequence 32. Here I will just change here. So I am here. So after that, I went to the operational system, OS, and killed everything. Killed the database that you're running. Okay? At the alert log, as you can imagine, the instance was terminated. Of course, Pimon was dead. Okay? And if I go in another database, do another thing, and try to recover this guy, I have the list backup of archive log sequence 32. Remember, I killed the database. Okay, I killed it. And now, as you can see, I have this backup automatically generated by zero data loss. Again, RPO 0 in this case. My database crashed. Okay, but okay, you can see that okay, this is a no running environment, and whenever. So, in this case, what am I doing right now? I have two threads. One thread here, doing insert and commit. Insert in one table and second thread here. Okay? I'm doing the same. Commit, insert, commit. I'm simulating a load inside of database. So I'm here, inserted, and decided to kill everything. Kill database. Okay? Kill -9 inside of database. Outside of database in the operational system. What happened? The last information inserted data was 1016 and 1016. And 646 in here. So as you can see, data was committed and the next one failed. Okay, you can say but you can, if you open your database, I will do more. I will go to the ASM and queues the database. I will remove simulated a file in the you lost your database. So what you think about? What will be if you are in a normal environment? What's happen? What will be the last your recovery point objective? In this case, if you lose everything, if you lose your storage, if you lose your database, database hardware, what will be your RPO? The last backup. Okay? In case of zero data loss, I open the database in another hardware just to show you. And if I do a list backup of this is my last next time, as you can see, it was generated by zero data loss. The low SCN is this guy. The next SCN is this guy that I used here. And I made a restore and a recover from database. So, as you can imagine, I have all the data, even without the backup. Zero data loss saved the last transaction for me. Think about how this can save you when you have a problem. Again, I killed the database. I not executed the backup. I killed the database in the middle of transactions occurring. Okay, and again, is there, and I removed the data. I removed online logs. I removed data files. I removed from the record, from the everything. I removed it. Okay. As you can see, my data was saved. 6, 4, 6, 10, 16. 10, 16. And sorry, guys, is below here, but it's there. So data was saved. For replication. A replication can be done in one way, bidirectional, or hub spoke. Basically, it's one. You have one side, replicate to another. Both can replicate both sides. This is not a problem. And one to and many to one. Okay. So replication, you have basically an upstream that is a source and downstream that is destination. You use the same username to do the replication. Sorry, use a specific, but this is internal information. One detail here is that every zero data loss have different policy. This means that you can have here like 5 days of retentions, and here you can have 30 days of retention. Okay, you can configure this. Okay, you can configure the policies for different zero data loss. Important is that zero data loss replicate backup sets. So the real-time redo does not send the redo log buffer from one side to another side. Okay, zero data loss replicates just backup set. But even after a new archive log is generated, is a new backup, as you imagine, since is even archive log is a backup set. So after you have the backup set for archive log, it's cloned to another site. So this is important. Replication can be done by database or policy, you can choose. And Airman, Restore, and Recover can use each side. So I'll show later, but so what's happened? So basically you have your backup, incremental level 0, level 1, whenever you have it here. This was done in site 1, okay? After some time, you can see that zero data loss replicated this backup. As you can see here, this one was here. You can see that it's here. You can see that checkpoint time was this guy, is the same. And this PC, this backup set, this guy, I have 2 copies. One copy here that is local, okay, in another one that is replicated, okay, in another media, and this is replicated. And since in the first site I have 5 days of retention. In another site, I have more days. After some time, this copy disappears and there remains just this new copy. So it's the same as you can see here. The media is 0 data loss and replicated. So it's in here. So, and as you can imagine, this is automatically managed by 0 data loss. You don't need to go there and catalog backups or do whatever. Everything is done automatically by 0 data loss. Your element catalog is self-managed by 0 data loss automatically. Okay? You don't need to do nothing to manage catalog, uncatalog, delete, or cross check. Everything was done automatically by 0 data loss. And here is the same. You have just to show you, because later I show just a level 0 backup, but as you can imagine, this works for level 1 backup. So I have file level 1 here, the copy number 1 is in here, and the copy number 2 is in here. And this is important, 0 data loss, even in the other side, generated for me here. So I have this backup set, that is a level 0 backup. You have a copy 1 and copy 2. So everything was managed automatically by 0 data loss. And this is important. This I forgot to put there. 0 data loss, I replicate, just to explain better. Here, the first backup is level 0. So since I don't have backup in the other site, site 1, site 2, is a replicated level 0. But in the subsequent backups, 0 data loss replicate just level 1 backups. 0 data loss, if you have level 0 in both sides, 0 data loss replicate just level 1 backup. It does not need to pass. Imagine that you have 10 terabytes of backup set, or of your backup for your table space. You think that 0 data loss will replicate 10 terabytes? No. 0 data loss will replicate just the incremental level 1, that have 100 gigabytes, whenever. And in the other side, both sides generated the index, generate everything to yours. So 0 data loss replicate is have intelligence and replicate just incremental level 1. Does not replicate incremental level 0 or level 0 backups. Imagine, again, 10 terabytes table space. Okay? And is the same, is done for archive logs. So you have your backup set here, and you have your media that is local, and you have a second copy that is in another site. You have the second copy. Okay? So tape and cloud basically is just clone to tape, but it's important that copy to tape is directly. If you want to copy to cloud, is use Key Vault, is an object store. You can offload your as destination your to cloud. But this is important. Clone, even tape or cloud, are based in DBMS scheduler. So this is how can I say? It's not the best part of zero data loss, because you need to handle this by yourself, like to not overlap windows for your backup. So this is part that you need to take care, because you do this by enterprise manager or command line interface. You need to remember when to finish your backup for primary database or your golden database or your silver database to not overlap, and this need to handle with care. So because this is done by DNS scheduler or inside of Cloud Control, but this is the point. Okay, basically how it's happened. This is for Oracle security backup, because you can have a third part, and if you have third part like Tivoli or whatever, since it's compatible with Airman, you can backup with your zero data loss to tape with Tivoli or data domain or whatever. since it's compatible with Herman, you can do this. But in here, I will show just for our security backup. So you have your template here, that is how ZDLRA. So I define one template for my browse, full backup and archive lock. What I'm backupping, my backup type is full and archives. I can put just archive, I can put incremental, I can put just full. You define. I have a window of 4 hours to run this, and my priority is low because I can put some load. And I create a job for this. So my job name, this is what I'm scheduling. Okay, so it's the same than here. Start right now, or one where I want to start is enable, and now to the hop is basically, and when I run weekly, Sunday every 8 p.m. Okay, and 8 p.m. at that time, or whenever I executed the backup, or security backup will clone from inside of zero data loss to the tapes, basically, or security backup. If you know how our security backups work, is data file backup is copying, and you can see here you have your Herman was, your PC was backup to tape, okay? And as you can see here, again, one more time, self-managed Herman, automatically done by zero data loss. You don't need to do nothing. Again, I have one copy here, and I have a second copy. Same as CN incremental, same backup set. So this backup set I have 2 copies. Okay, this is done automatically by zero data loss. And after some time, if my local that is inside of zero data loss hard disks, because my policy defined that inside of zero data loss remains for 1 month, and for tapes remains for 6 months. And if this guy disappears, I still have this guy. And this is, again, automatically managed by zero data loss. Herman catalog managed automatically by zero data loss. Okay? So, to resume, basically, real-time redo is the most critical information that you need to take care about the features. Real-time redo. Databases need to have the same redo transport user value as the VPC username. So, again, this is a parameter that defines the user that share the archive logs between the both sides of your data guard. Since zero data loss is a destination, you need to have the same as your catalog, Herman catalog user. Okay? And if you have a multi-site protection, you need to have the same user in every site. So I made a post about this, what you need to take care, so you can access my site, my blog, to see some details for this. Replication is based in policy. So you can have different policies inside of each zero data loss in the upstream and downstream. So in one site you can have 10 days, in another site you can have 1 month, so you need to take care about this. Again, zero data loss application does not take care for real-time redo. This is DUDI for data guard. Okay? Different from tape, replication is not based in DBMS schedule, so it tends to be as soon as possible. So as appearing in the first moment that your backup set appears inside of Herman catalog or is generated, zero data loss tries to copy it from one site to another site to be as soon as possible to have another copy. Okay? Does not replicate full backups or level 0 backup, just incremental. Each site creates the virtual full backup. Think about, again, the 10 terabyte database, 10 terabyte table space. Clone, the detail from clone is not online. Clone to tape is scheduled. Okay? And this, you need to schedule it every day for archive logs, or every 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on your SLA or what you need to do. And by default, it clone the last backup. Okay, last backup that is available inside of ZDLRA is copy to tape. Okay, or you can use tag to force some backups. But usually, if you do in the morning, if you do a backup of your database, in the afternoon you do a backup of your database again, and at night you clone to tape, the clone that will be done will be the last one, will be in the afternoon. The morning backup will not be cloned to tape. You can clone manually, but it's not done automatically. Okay? So the picture for a full zero data loss multi-site protection is this. You have one zero data loss in here, second zero data loss, you have your databases, you have SAN, you have backup, you have tape in each side. So here you have one site, so you have one zero data loss in here, you have a second zero data loss in here, you have your clones in here, but you have a replication between one site to another site. And here you have clones to tape too. So this is the MAA default. But talking about MAA, I will not explain what is MAA or whenever, but the basis for MAA, maximum available architecture, is reduce planned and unplanned downtime from database, reduce data loss, have zero RPO and zero RTO. So for one premise, you can protect from the single to multi-site data guard with multi-site with data guard. You have two links that you can access, but again, think big. Think about your environment, because usually when you are multi-site protection, you don't have just one database. You have thousands of databases. Okay, just one example of ExxonMobil that brought zero data loss to protect more than 3,000 of databases. Okay, of course that zero data loss can be used to protect just 10 databases, but you need to think when you are doing architecture for MAA, you need to think big. You need to think about not just backup. You need to think about continuous availability. Okay, you need to think about data protection. You need to think about replication. You need to think about scale out. So architecture for MAA is not just copy from one site to another site. You need to think if your standby site have space to handle all the archive logs, if you need to just data protection, or if you need to have application protection. You need to think about the data sources, the TNS connections, load, failover inside of TNS. So you need to think more in details. That's just a listener and just a backup. Okay? So the goals are prime availability. The goals are for the bronze. I will explain later which one. You have four major goals. For bronze is where you have a single instance. You don't have data guard. You don't have even a hack environment. It's a single instance. Is when you can restore from the last backup is enough. Usually is a development site, is the developer databases. So you have just single instance. You are not using engineer system. It's a traditional environment. Can be even a database with store inside of itself. So, but because of this, it's more susceptible to hardware errors. Your RTO and RPO will not be zero in this case. RPO will just be zero if you use data loss. I will show later. And one important detail. With zero data loss, you can have zero RPO and multi-site protection even for standard edition. Okay? So you can have your, I will show later the details, but you can replicate from one site to another site. even a single database that is a standard edition that even don't have even a data guard. I will show later this. This is the default architecture in this case. So you have the site one here, your database is running here, and you can clone, backup to tape, directly to tape or whenever you backup, or you can even backup to tape, to cloud, okay, whenever. But the goal is that you can sometimes export outside of this site your backups. You can put tape outside or whatever. So you have, in this case, in case of site outage, what can happen? Your RPO will be higher than 0 because think that you copy this guy from here to there one time per month. Okay? So what will be your RPO if I lose everything here? Okay? What will be done? Will be 1 month. Okay? Can be and probably will be higher than 0. If you have a hardware error here, like a software or problem inside of Oracle, usually is 0 because tends to be 0. Okay, if you have a data corruption, will be since the last backup because you need to restore your database from here to there. So this can be since the last backup. And if you have hardware error here, you lose your RPO. Depends when you do the backup or whenever, but will be higher than 0. And recovery time to maybe you need to buy a new hardware, you need to fix your site. So RTO for the bounce will be higher than 0 in every case. But for 0 data loss, if you have just a 0 data loss in here, okay, you have a real-time redo enabled here. Remember, it's a single database, a standard edition. But I can use a real-time redo. So this means that if I have a redo here, redo log buffer, this redo buffer is here. This means that if I have a site outage, okay, depends the site outage, of course. Sorry, I can have 0 RPO. If I have a database error here, it's the same. But if I have a data corruption, I can restore from here and lose nothing. I can restore from here. Since I have real-time redo or whenever, I can restore from here directly because I have an outside copy from here. If I have a hardware error here, since I'm using real-time redo, I have 0 RPO. So I reduce to 0 my real-time redo. If I have a second option, replicated environment, I have a second copy in another site, and then I can have a clone. So I can have even a third copies, 4 copies of my backup, even for my single instance database. Again, zero data loss does not change RTO because RTO does not depend of zero data loss. Okay. Silver is focused on application continuity. So you can use a hack or single instance. If you have single instance, you can use a data guard. I'll show later. You have 2 patterns. That is traditional environment, but with data guard to protect. It's not an engineer system, but in this case, again, it's not susceptible to hardware errors. And if I'm engineer system, I can do a hack, but I'll show later more details. Again, how is the default in this case? So I have my silver. I have a data guard here. Okay, site 1. So I have a single traditional environment here, a data guard, and I offload this outside, or I can have a hack running engineer system. But again, if I have a site outage here, a full site outage here, I lose everything, and my recovery point objective will be high because I need to copy from here to there, and if I copy 1 time per month, yes, you imagine that I have 1 month of data loss. So explain this to your manager. If you have a database error, usually for software, in this case is 0 because depends of the database error that you have. So usually affects just one side. If you have data corruption, since it's a data guard, of course that depends of the license that you are using. Again, as Oracle is usually depends the license that you have. So you have you can recover from here to there, no problem. And if you have a hardware error here, this is another one will take care. Recover time objective. If I have a site outage, will be higher than 0. If I have a database error, can be 0, depend of the problem that you have, okay, because can affect both sides. Occurs. Don't imagine that it does not occur, but occurs. Hardware, software error from Oracle that affects one side and affect both sides of zero data loss of data guard occurs. If I have data corruption, recover time will be 0 and hardware error will be 0. If I have engineering system, sorry guys, I have a hack here inside, but if I have a site outage here, the recovery point can be higher than 0 because depends the time of this backup when this backup occurred. Okay, if I have a database error, of course that depends the software error. If interconnect or whatever, this can be 0 because this affects just one part of the hack or one node or one instance. If you have data corruption, since I don't have another copy like data guard, will be from the last backup, and the hardware error tends to be 0. If you go to the documentation, they will say that this will be 0, okay? But can occur that this guy have a problem and occurs. Okay, is a Exadata. You have a lot of redundancy, but if you have problem with your ASM corruption, problem with the mirror, and I need to be clear with you, and I face this. I have a problem with my Exadata that corrupted the disk group. Okay, and what's happened? Since I was using zero data loss, I lose nothing, but hardware error can leave you in a bad situation. To how zero data loss will be integrated with Silver. So you have in this case, I will explain why I'm protecting just this guy, okay? Because if for Silver protection, the if you have for Silver, the recommendation for Oracle MAA is to have a second site. So if you have a second site, this one, you pick up this guy and put it here in the second site. So this upgrade to a gold. I will show later. But in this case, I have the site 1 and I have site 2. So you have a hack here, engineer system, real time redo, site outage. If you have a site outage, your RPO tends to be 0 because if your application is down, does not have time to copy from here to there, so it can be more than 0. If you have database error, depends, but since you have real-time redo, you have 0 RPO because you have the archive logs here. If you have data corruption, you can backup from 0 data loss, and if you have a hardware error, your RPO will be 0 because you have real-time redo enabled here. Again, does not change RTO, okay? So what is the in this case, what happened here? Just to show you, I have one backup set, I have local copy, I have a second local copy to tape, I have a third remote copy, and I have a fourth remote copy. So basically, what I have copy 1 here, copy 2 here, copy 3 here, a copy 4 here. So is this one is protected in every side. So if I lose one side, I have the second side to protect me. And if I lose this side, I have another side. So I have more than one side protection. I have in the tape outside of even outside of zero data loss. I have here. I have here. So a lot of protections. And again, everything automatically managed by Airman catalog. Sorry, guys. Uh, for gold and platinum, you have focus in continuity. So the focus in this gold and platinum is eliminate a single point of failure. In this case, you have a multi-site environment, data guard, hack, in both sides. You are running over engineer system. The difference between platinum and golden is that in platinum you have a replication inside of your site, so you mix silver and gold in one. Why you have data golden gate? Because you can upgrade for platinum. You can upgrade your database from one version to another version without downtime. Okay, this is the gold for platinum. RTO and RPO will be 0. Okay. Another point important is that the replication between the both sides are done by data guard and not by zero data loss. One point important is that backup at standby is allowed with zero data loss. Okay, you can have a standby and backup there, no problem. But PCT is just available if you have active data guard license. Okay, so even if you don't have a active data guard license, you can do backup in the standby if you have zero data loss, of course. So and RPO 0 depends of data guard protection. Sometimes, sorry guys, is wrong. Is RTO 0 depends of data protection, because sometimes it's more important to have data. Just to fix here, this is RTO. Is RTO here, because sometimes data is more important than application. Remember that I worked for Court of Justice. I had some databases that I need to protect the data and not the application. So the data needs to be available. All the data needs to be available in more than one site. Okay. If the application is not running, then it's not a problem. The focus in the data. So again, architecture. You need to design your architecture based on what you need. So, and again, you have a lot of SLAs. You need to think about a lot of things. So again, think big. You need to think about of this. What is MAA for the gold and platinum? In the normal environment, you have a data guard between sides. This is a normal, and you have a backup from here to there, backup from here to there. So if you have a site outage here, you have the second site. If you have a database error, okay, depends, because can corrupt to both sides, but recovery point will be 0 usually. If you have data corruption, this data came from here. And if you have a hardware error here, you have the second site. Okay. But of course, that depends. Maybe you need to recover here. This backup was not working, and you know, can happen. If you have a data guard with 0 data loss, you have your time redo here to there. So if you have a site outage, you have the second side because the protection is done by data guard. Okay. If you have database error, you have another site. If you have data corruption, you have another site to copy from here to there. And hardware error, if you lose this guy, since you are running in real-time redo and you have in here, you can pick up with 0 RPO from here. Okay? But what this means? So look this. Look this backup set. Again, this is important. It's different from the golden and it's different from silver, and each 0 data loss protect this site. They are work independently. This guy does not communicate, don't have communication between 0 data loss here. So each site protect each one. Okay? So as you can see here, I have a list backup from data file here, system. I have 2 local copies, but in the other side, I have the same and here. As you can see, I have no integration between this guy. So I have no integration for data guard. When you are using protecting data guard, if you have both unit loss in both sides, you don't have this. Again, and this is more clear for archive log. So look, this side, this is one side, backup archive log sequence 921. In one side, I have 1 copy, I have 2 copies, and I have the sequence number 2. This guy is, but if I look here, I have the same. I have 1 copy and I have 2 copies. But again, for 92, I have just 1 copy. Okay? But if I go in another site, again, 92 here. But if I go in another site, I have 2 copies from this guy. I have 2 copies in here. Why? Because here the tape schedule enter the tape schedule enter and clone this to tape, and is different. So in each side, the zero data loss are different. They are managed independently. Okay, so I almost finishing, just to be aware. So this is a maximum available architecture when you are using zero data loss. Again, you have your bronze database in here, your silver and your gold. Okay, imagine that you have a backup here and here. So you have backup here from the golden, and replication to and came in here. Okay, and if I have the backup and archive log, I have in here silver and replication took and came in here. Okay. And this guy cloned to tape and this guy cloned to tape. No problem. You have 4 copies for bronze and silver. Okay. But remember, I am using real-time redo, so my redo log buffer from every database are here. Okay. If this database crash, if this guy crash, I have this guy protect here. Okay, the same for this guy too. But it's the same for data guard. I have 1 copy here, another. I have 4 copies of redo log buffer. Okay. And if I generate the archive log, when I generate the command archive log or the archive log is generated, it's automatically appear in 4 places. Okay. This because data guard, this because data guard, both here, this because real-time redo, and this because real-time redo. Okay, and if I do a backup from this guy, it will appear just here. Okay, but and this backup can be, this archive log can be cloned to tape whenever, and when I do this backup will be cloned, will be backup in zero data loss. But again, this guy is different of this guy. They are managed different. So My backup here can start at 10, and my backup here can start at 12 o'clock. Okay, they work independently in the case of data guard. Okay, and you can backup to clone. In a normal environment, what you have? Sorry, guys. So you have your backup in here. You have your backups here for data guard, whatever. And you have your backup for golden in here. Okay, and since you do here, you can have it here. Okay, and you clone to tape in here. No problem. So, but if you lose this guy, you have a problem here, you have a problem here. What will be the last RPO that you have in here? Will be this guy. So, and this guy can be from yesterday, can be from the last week, whenever. So you will be can be a RPO higher than 0. And even for this guy, in this guy, no, it will be more difficult, but can occur, but whenever. If you want to recover this guy, you have a last week, so maybe you need to switch this guy to another place and recover from here to there. So tends to be more complicated than a simple recover from backup in a data guard environment or multi-site. So if you want to check more details on how to enroll, you can check my blog. The presentation will be online later, today or tomorrow will be available. So you can check about multi-site protection. You can check about real-time and redo virtual backups, understand how to protect your database with ZDLRA. You can access my personal site and check more information. So the next webinars, as you know, the next one will be presented by Rodrigo. Is our multi-tenant 19C consolidation. And will be in 23 of January. And after that, the next one will be Oracle database on AWS RDS will be by Bruno, 13 of February. And the presentation is done. And if you have questions, just send information. Send the question if you have questions.
Thank you, Fernando. I'm checking now the question. Excellent presentation. I'm check 1 minute, please. You listen to me? Okay, I'm check now. I don't have question today. It's no questions yet. No question. I believe that is okay. It's your final considerations, and it's a good presentation, a good explanation about zero data loss. It's very, very good. Fernando?
Yes, it's working now.
Yeah.
Okay. Was a pleasure to present and share the information, share the knowledge by this webinar. So, and check it for the next one that we can present in the future. Check for the LUXOUG user group, and is that.
Okay, thank you very much, Fernando, for your presentation. Guys, don't miss our next webinars, the Fernando show about the Oracle consolidation and the Oracle using an RDS by Bruno and Rodrigo. In the next week, we will open the call for papers for the first LUXOUG event in March. and more information is in social media. And see you in next webinar. Thank you, Fernando. Bye bye.
Guys.